piece of paper because they're gonna
Okay.
do something. Might just,
Yeah.
you might just get double. You know, just two of us.
Evan used to come to our kitchen. I think he still comes and volunteers.
Yeah, they do that Crimson War thing.
Yeah.
Mr. Gunn, I think we can still do our game.
What game is that? The three of us.
Three of us.
Do y'all have blank paper?
Yep.
Yeah, right
I
there.
got a notebook for it.
No, we got
My
you.
damn
Don't
notebook
even
is
worry
so
about
packed.
it.
I hate pulling stuff off my notebook sometimes because I got to rearrange to get it back in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get a bunch of pens. We can do it. I have.
Yeah, I got my culinary paper for my culinary class.
So,
Yeah, I see y'all flyers somewhere else. I saw a flyer down at the music store about your open mic night.
oh yeah, I gave it to the
Store called Midtown Music.
Yeah, I got one tomorrow, though.
On weekdays, I guess.
Was the thing tomorrow? Well, on Thursday, a concert or?
It's both. It's an open mic with a headliner. So I guess he's probably gonna let everybody sign up and perform.
Oh,
and then
that the lady from Oregon? Yeah,
yeah,
so
on that poster.
Yeah, it's gonna be Thursday.
so they kind of like what you call it when the opening act? The opening act? They opening act for her.
It's gonna be a bunch of people.
Oh, okay.
So I'm guessing
Yeah, I think I read about it. You got to sign up
Yeah.
ahead of time. You get about 10 minutes.
yeah. All right, so
Maybe
let's do
we-
our game.
Oh, we're gonna do a game.
All right, we're gonna do this game that I learned.
Mm-hmm. God, you're gonna stand up.
Oh, okay.
So tonight we're talking about storytelling.
Really gonna emphasize story.
So 3 of us in a row.
All right.
If it was more, it'd be more people. But what happens so I'm gonna get out and explain it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens we use this for like teaching kids how to write movie scripts.
Uh-huh.
So we tell them a movie has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
All right.
It doesn't matter how simple the story is. We just have to come up with a beginning,
Okay.
middle, and end. So you'll be the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the middle, and Daniel will be the end. And then when we finish, you go to the back of the line where Daniel
Okay.
is, and then
Kind of
I'll
like
be the beginning.
improvisation. Improvisation.
Well, it's more like just a structured
Oh, okay.
storytelling exercise.
So does that mean like like I come up with like we go beginning, middle, end.
And then Ward goes to end, and I'm beginning. You're middle, he's in. Then I go to the end.
Oh, after the 3 lines are done, then
Yeah.
you. Oh, I get it.
Oh,
Okay, all right, I get it. I thought it was like he says something, then he moves there, but it's after. Okay, sweet. All right.
So everybody gets a chance to be the
All right,
beginning.
we got
middle,
this.
and
That's
end.
hot. I like that, Bernard.
Okay. Let's see.
Doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay. I was at the June Jubilee, and I was taking drumming classes from a free-spirited guy, and I was just beginning to like it.
And then all of a sudden, when I was on the drums, a dog came up and jumped in front of my face.
And then the last syllable sounded.
All right, so you moved
Oh,
to the
yeah.
end ward. So there was this chicken, and it was in the middle of the road, trying to eat a worm because it was lunchtime.
And then the chicken looked up, and lo and behold, coming out of the sunshine itself was a motorcycle.
And the motorcycle yelled to the chicken, say, hey, you can stop bothering that worm.
Alright, so one day, the hot air balloon began to fall out of the sky.
And everybody in Charlottesville was scrambling, thinking they was going to land on their head.
And then, as the hot air balloon came down, everybody realized they could do like that old PE game where everybody has the parachute, and they played with it in the middle.
And that's how that game was born.
Oh, okay, so
And
I guess
then-
they-
okay, we got it.
This is another time thing. One day, I was at the bus stop, waiting on a bus. So after 2.5 hours, I looked at my watch and said, the bus must not be coming.
Then, as I looked in my watch and saw a reflection of the bus, I realized that the bus was actually coming out of my watch.
And that's when I got my eyes checked.
So there was a man and a bride, and they were about to get married. And as they were walking down the aisle, all of a sudden a guy ran into the back of the church and said, "Stop!"
Police!
See, Police say I object to weddings altogether because I'm going to arrest everybody in the room.
You can't go there, her mother said, and she disagreed.
Can't go there. And the young girl, college student said, go there, mother. You don't go there. We can't go there. Don't go there.
And so the mother and daughter went together, even though both of them knew they weren't supposed to go wherever there was, and it turned out to be a high school prom.
I'll do one more round. This is
Okay, all right. I think I'm having one of my paranoid days, like back from a Beatles record.
And since I'm having one of those days, everywhere I walk on the street, I feel like bees are surrounding my head.
And then it turns out there really are bees surrounding my head, and it's too late.
So, I'm at the farmer's market, and I bite into this nice, plump tomato, and then one of my teeth falls out.
I once heard from an old Sufi that when your teeth fall out in a dream, it's because you feel like you're losing control. But this wasn't a dream.
And this wasn't a dream. This was real life because the tomato wound up being a dentist, and the dentist said, just because you feel like everybody's out to get you doesn't mean you're not.
All right. So that's a good exercise you can use to help yourself think of beginning, middle, and end. We'll talk about that more.
Oh, that's kind of sweet, Bernard. I like that game. Oh, that was hot. Well, why don't we skip the read dot and ish, and we can come back to that. The other thing, okay, so now we're going to do like this thing where we do 4-sentence stories. Like, get a piece of paper. I'll give you some examples of it, or just like sentence stories, or like constructing in a very short space an entire story. Because it's important to understand, if you can construct a good story, you are halfway to a good poem. If you can construct a good poem, you're halfway to constructing a good story. Like really good poems have some story. Like I'll give one example for now. The great poem, very famous poem by a woman named Brooks. It's called Real Cool. Like it's play on language where she goes, the pool players 7 at the golden shovel. So she gives you at the top of it like the location and stuff, and she goes, we real cool, we left school, we lurk late, we strike straight, we sing sin, we thin gin, we jazz June, we die soon. That's it. That's the whole story. So you go from this real cool, we left school, so you got these kids who are leaving.
Gwendolyn Brooks?
Gwendolyn Brooks, there you go, that's exactly right. We real cool, we left school, we lurk late, we strike straight, we sing sin, we thin gin, we jazz June, we die soon. So just in a very short space, you've got some great plays on language. And this is a poem that you can dissect real good. It's a deep poem, just the way that it rearranges the words and stuff like that. But in a very short space, it's told an entire story. And we'll go through a few more examples in a little bit. But like just as a creative thing, we'll start off with like, here are some examples of things I did. Like, here's a sentence called, from a series of really small stories called The Idiot. Like, for example, you go, the maid of a painter cleans the window, and the painter beats her because she changed the light. Period. So right there, the maid is doing her function. She's trying to. You've described the character of the painter, who's obviously a little bit crazy. She's doing her job, but she changes the light, and she gets hit by the painter for doing that. In just one sentence, you want to say, the maid of a painter cleans the window, and the painter beats her because he changed the light. Like that idea in itself, you could give rise to. Now you can say, okay, well, what kind of poem can we talk about?
That was on 4 sentences too.
That was just one. But let's do one like this one. He married his childhood sweetheart. The day before, the doctor said she had 6 months before the cancer killed her. She said he shouldn't. He insisted. She could not hug him on their wedding day. She only looked at him as he sat at her bedside. He held her hand. She could not talk. They loved each other. He loved her until the day she died. Period. Or just one more example from that. The military man repaired all tanks, shot all guns, killed all enemies with his bare hands. He visits a friend deep in the mountains. He saved her during a battle from enemy fire. Her husband was killed. Today, her water breaks. The phones are out. It is raining. He trembles as she goes into labor. No towels, no equipment, nothing. He watches the delivery in horror. In horror, she bleeds to death. His hands shake. So he's able to fix all of these weapons of war, but not to deliver a child. So these are just ideas of the sort of thing where when you can tell a story in a very, very small space. And also as a good exercise for writing poetry, or even, is to say, what story do I want to tell in this poem? And if you can write out just in 3 sentences, like a really good story, like a beginning, middle, and end, you now have sort of the foundation for the poem you're going to write. So we're going to do that. I'm first going to throw out just sort of 6 rules that are really good when you do story writing, and this applies to poetry as well. Do not use similes and metaphors unless absolutely necessary, and likewise unless they push the action. Mm-hmm. If, for example, I say the woman is wrinkly like a cat. Why did I choose cat instead of, say, prune or something like that? Well, because this woman owns 100 cats, and she lives in a house that's run down by cats, so by describing her like a cat, you're saying that over the years she's come to be like the things she's owned. If I were to say she's like a prune, and then I tell you about how she owns a house with lots of cat, the metaphor doesn't match the action of the story, so you want to do that. Likewise, when we're talking about real cool, like it says Jazz June, for example. Like the term jazz is in the state where they're making music, but also it's like making the most of June, but also it's meaning scramble up June, like sort of the chaos of it, and then we die real soon. The term jazz also in that context is sort of the idea that it comes with the notion that you're going to die soon, and we got to freestyle and make the most of life before it happens, and then you die. So even the use of the word jazz instead of like we do June. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying deuce, he says jazz, because that word matches the action of the poem. So similes, metaphors, and even word choice goes into it. Also, have as a rule of thumb a use of a simple language. Well, I think the best writing style is something like a Hemingway or a Steinbeck, which is a very, very simple word, very simple language. Like rather than say the Argentinian man, he'll say the old man. And rather than say the old wrinkly man with yellow skin, he'll just say the old man. Because every single human being, when you read the old man, has an image of an old man. You're probably going to have that be your father. And by virtue of him giving you the detail of the old man versus something else, you're now part of the story. You have now inserted your life into the story because of the lack of detail and also the simpleness of the language. Because you could also, instead of saying the old man, you could say the rustic Raymond. No one knows, or even the self-liqueur rustic. That means the old man, but who in the world is going to know what the self-liqueur? Why would you use that word instead of the old man? Unless you're then going to talk about how he cleans sulfur, like tombstones or something like that. You wouldn't want to describe him like that. So you'd want to use simpler languages. Also, always keep in mind that space is a very powerful tool. when you write stories. Like single sentence paragraphs can be very powerful. Or when you're talking, like when you say, "We real cool," like that poem's in a period, and then it's a space on the page. It's like, "We real cool," silence. "We jazz June." Like the space actually adds to the text, so that's always good. Refrain from using details unless the details are absolutely necessary. We kind of talked about that with the old man. This is important, be particular rather than general. Don't talk about mankind, talk about a man. Don't talk about women, talk about a woman, like a person, a particular person, or your story. Don't talk about like the world, talk about Charlottesville, Virginia. Talk about a particular place and a particular time, because it's actually more universal if you do so, because we all live in particular places. Make sure every word is absolutely necessary as well. Don't waste space, because don't say more than necessary, because when you do so, you actually rob your poetry of the power. It doesn't carry as much weight. Those are just some thoughts. So now, we're going to each make a 4-sentence story. We'll do this. We're just kind of following these. Very general. And of course, if you got questions, you're more than free to ask it. Here you go. Use this piece of paper right here. And the story can be about absolutely anything. And we can do that for 10 minutes or so. And if you get inspiration to write a second one, you're more than free to do it.
You're just doing 4 lines or what?
Let's say there's four or 5 sentences, no more than that, of a story. If you want to do it in poetry format, you can. Just anything you want. What's that?
Everything's just so wonderful.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
You're so wonderful.
You're wonderful. My goodness. Well, welcome to poetry. We certainly have had a wonderful time doing this over the last few weeks, and we certainly appreciate y'all coming in. I mean, if anything, it's given me an excuse to be around Bernard more, and, it's nothing better than that. What can I say? Well, this evening we're going to really concentrate on performance. We've gone through everything from flow, mystery, metaphors. What did we do last week? Storytelling. We did storytelling. That was sweet. And this evening we're going to do performance. The first thing we're going to do is everyone's going to tell a story about their day, but they're going to make it really, really epic and really performance-like. Okay? So we're going to, I will start off. I'm going to freestyle the story for my day. You can stand up, you can play music, you can do whatever you want. Because we all know that if you just have a poem and you read it, you just kind of read it without any emotion, nobody really gets it. They're just kind of listening, oh, they didn't look up or anything like that. It really sort of loses it. We'll do things this evening sort of watching some ASL poetry, which is pretty sweet because you can't read ASL poetry, you have to perform it. So there's a really incredible sort of bonding of poetry with the performance of it. So this tonight, just bringing that all together, bringing some of the things that we've gone over the weeks, just the idea of performance. So I'm going to tell a story about my day. I don't have a clue what I'm going to say with a freestyle because that goes back to the rap cipher and the flow. And it is also mystery because you don't know what's going to happen, nor do I know what's going to happen. And it combines storytelling as we did last week. And I'm sure there will be a metaphor in there somewhere.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I woke up and it was already too late. I looked at the clock and I just couldn't believe that. Never mind, it doesn't matter now. Quickly, get dressed, but find myself already dressed because, well, I don't want to talk about last night. So I opened the door quickly, step out, look around, sunlight everywhere. Why was there sunlight everywhere? I was supposed to be up. Never mind, it doesn't matter anyway. I run out into the hallway, go to the coffee. I didn't wash it. I didn't wash the coffee maker. I didn't wash the coffee maker, so I can't get coffee. It's over. I consider going back to my room, shutting the door, closing it, staying dressed, because what does it matter anyway, and shutting off the alarm clock, because what does it matter if the alarm clock goes off if there's not going to be coffee when I wake up? And just when I get to that door, I stop. I pause. No. No. I will not go back to sleep. I will not go back to sleep. So I kick shut the door, come upstairs, and lo and behold, there's this coffee maker. I'd completely forgotten about it. So quickly, I turn on the electricity, but the water, it takes all of 5 minutes to heat up. My legs start falling asleep, arm to side. Don't know if falls the knee. Come on. The water's still heating. Reach for the coffee cup. Go to the cream. But this arm doesn't work anymore. 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes and the coffee will be ready. Just 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. Open my eyes and 5 hours have passed. The day has now begun at noon. So that's my story. Anyway. Glad we talked about it. Okay, Bernard.
Is there a metaphor in it?
Yeah, the metaphor was coffee equals life. Not coffee death. Aging, there's definitely some aging sort of things in there about how you can link and you're at a midlife crisis. You know, you get banned drinking coffee, midlife crisis. So yeah, that's clearly what. And also there was something about doves. There's definitely something about doves. Yeah, doves. I know it's profound, very profound. Anyway, Mr. Hankins. Mystery.
That's what I did for most of the day.
Metaphor.
You ate cereal for most of the day?
It was a struggle. Did you see that?
Terrible tasting cereal.
No, it looked pretty good actually.
And crying tears of joy because you finally got it, what you were trying to get.
I don't know, sort of like a Die Hard 2 version of my morning.
Epic battle.
The fighting for the cereal. Who wants to go next? Kim!
No.
Kim!
Oh, Shiguchi, you
I
play
gotta remember
zombies
what I
every
did.
day.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Zombie.
You play zombies, and you
all the
came
day.
dressed up last week like a
Come on.
zombie. It wasn't even like Halloween. You're just like a random
Yeah.
zombie. So we know you have performance
Yeah,
in
you got this. You're thinking too much about what you're going to say.
No, I can't. I don't remember what I did today.
Make something up. We'd never know if you actually did it. Tell us about how you wrote a play. I'm going to stare at you until you get up and perform something. Can pick at you, or Kim. Or Joanne. I see you over there with your head full thing.
What is that?
Just because you're, I don't know what that is. Oh,
I'm sorry.
that's a very good reason for you to get up and do a performance about your day.
Do it in Spanish.
Yeah, do it in Spanish.
We'll understand it.
Yeah. Oh.
See?
En la mañana.
En la mañana.
No quiero. No quiero va a clase.
Good. Why don't you give us a poem in Spanish about your day as dramatically as that? No, seriously, you can make it really cool. Like you can be something like, "Don't siente como te hace." Com'è sulla testa? Você.
Can I do it in Bengali?
Yes. Yeah, seriously.
Is it okay if no one understands it?
Of course it's okay. As long as you perform it and like make us somehow know that, you know, give us clues of what you're saying. We're going to do sign language, which is no words at all.
সকালে আমি ঘুমাইছিলাম আমার ফোন ছিল আমার অ্যালার্ম ক্লক ছিল বারে স্নুজ বাটন ধরছি 1 ঘন্টা পরে আমার উঠতে হয়েছে তারপরে আমার হাসপাতালে যেতে হয়েছে আমি সবাইকে হুইলচেয়ারে নিয়ে হাসপাতালে নিয়েছি second floor cardiovascular center নিয়েছি তারপরে ফায়ার ড্রিল সবাই হাসপাতাল থেকে বের হইতে হয়েছে তারপরে আবার ঢুকতে হয়েছে তারপরে ক্লাসে যেতে হয়েছে কিন্তু ক্লাস শুধু 20 মিনিট লাগছে and by 20 minutes I mean 20 minutes
It's a very melodious language. It's very pretty. Yay!
it looks prettier
Well, it sounds pretty too. Well, probably because you're saying it.
with a strong American accent
I don't know what an American accent is, so it's fine.
no one knows what accent Daniel speaks no one knows
Don't have an accent.
everyone has an accent Daniel
Oh, here she goes. Oh, battle time.
I awoke. This isn't my room. Where am I? Who's talking? God, she's annoying. Her voice. What is she, Polish? Oh, that's my TA. I'm in economics already. Why did I sign up for this Tuesday class? Ugh. All right, it's time to go. Time to see Schwartz. Hey, Schwartz. How was your weekend? Oh, Rachel's not here yet. Typical. Are we gonna get coffee today? Thank God. Yeah, small. No, just coffee. Stop. Schwartz, why don't we sit outside today? It's a beautiful day. It's a great idea. All right, let's do it.
Oh, it's so nice and so warm. Oh, Rachel, you can't see because the sun is in your eyes. Okay, we'll move.
This is better. This is better. Let's just put all of our stuff down. All right, so intellectual property. Why did they sign trade-related aspects of intellectual property? That was a terrible decision. Who came up with that? Pharmaceutical companies. They're all sociopaths. Very good point. Well, it's freezing because we're no longer in the sun. We should probably get up. Okay. We'll go back. I love that in this 1 hour discussion a week, we spend most of our time getting coffee and moving chairs. But I'm learning a lot. What is that, Swartz? Sociopath. Everyone in Washington. And everyone who owns a company, you say. I can see that. CEOs. How else would they get there? Sociopath. That was my bad.
Thank you, Kim. I like how you tied it together with the repetition of sociopath. And yes, I did notice that the majority of my meetings throughout all of college consisted of getting the coffee from the ultimate lobby and then switching locations of where we were sitting. That was the majority of the meetings. Now, that or spilling the coffee and then having to clean it up, because apparently I spill it a lot. I don't know why. I think I spilled it actually intentionally most of the time. It was like, oh, so what were your section? Oh, no! Man, I better clean that up. Oh, here you go. Oh, we better just, you're so covered in searing hot liquid, you better just go change. I'll see you later. We won't reschedule. I don't want to clutter up your schedule. So good to see you. Yay. So, what we're going to now do, well, first I'm going to read a poem, and really we're bringing out sort of this dimension of the poem, because as you could see, just by your body motions, or how you move, or how you say, you can actually say a lot. Now, if you add with it an elegant line, or poetry too, on top of that capacity you have to perform, that's where you really sort of bring it out. So I'm just going to read one poem as an example of a way to perform. And this is called, I'm going to do this one, Ozymandias, which I'm sure everybody has heard. And then after this we'll play again. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lips and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passion read, which yet survive stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them, and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains round the decay of the colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. So just this image of a statue in the desert, that on the statue it says, I am Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works, ye mighty, in despair, and all that's left of the statue is two legs and desert. The great irony of the notion. It's Keats will tie that together with his poem after that, On the Star, and an ode to a Grecian urn, because he was very much always dealt with the themes of eternity and transient time. Very popular themes. So yes, now we're going to play a game called the number game. This is how it's going to work. We're going to project meaning by just using numbers. For example, I'm going to have on a particular motion. I want you to tell me what emotion it is, just by how I sound, even though all I'm going to be saying is numbers. For example, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, no, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7. Guesses? Fear? Good, good.
First, it seems like you were worried,
Mhm.
and then you seem to go to just uncertain.
You're worried, paranoia, uncertainty, fear. Yeah. You see, you can get that just by like the way I say the numbers, let alone if we add with it a line. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2.
I've never seen someone so passionate about number 2.
It's fine. We're gonna have a conversation. All right. You start. You go. I'm gonna respond.
1.
5. 5.
2.
3, 3.
4. 4.
15.
5,
15.
7, 9, 12.
15. 15. 15.
15, 16, 17.
7, 8, 8.
Oh, no. 9.
3.
No.
3.
3.
3.
3.
3.
3.
4.
50.
3.
4. 4.
6,
6. 6. 6.
6.
6,
6.
6,
6.
7,
9?
8.
Eight.
8.
8.
8.
97.
97.
97? 97.
97.
97.
97.
97.
97. 97.
97.
97.
97.
5.
103.
2,552. 123.
142.
Ooh. 6. 0.5.
4.
9,101.
Negative 1.
No.
4.
3.
Negative 1.
Negative 1. You two start a conversation.
I love you.
No, using numbers. Say I love you with numbers.
I
love you with numbers.
I was about to start doing the Sesame Street. 1, 2.
Then 4, 5.
2, 4, 3.
Purrs are not numbers.
4, 5,
14. 40.
44.
6, no, 12.
23. 23.
No, they first get out.
23.
5.
23.
42.
23.
No, 93. 93.
42.
42.
42.
42.
42.
42. 41. 47.
55.
54.
55.
5, 8, 9. 8. 11, 12, 13.
65.
48, 48, 48, 48, 48.
65.
83.
17.
19.
42. 42. 41. 45.
32.
46. 46. 47. 47.
81.
28.
3, 4,
49. 49. 49.
43. 4.
52.
Oh, 52.
52.
5.
56. 56.
32.
Con le merde non andiamo. 71. 72. 72. 72.
Action
72. 72. 72.
42.
72. 73.
Oh, 89.
75. 45.
76. 80. 81. 82. 82.
90.
91.
90.
91. 91.
9.
90.
Eins, zwei, drei.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the number game. You just have 2-hour-long conversations using numbers.
Well, see, I usually communicate by news.
Oh, well, see, you can just use that in the mirror all day long to sort of talk to yourself.
Just talk about people behind their
No,
back.
seriously, like,
They
be
develop
like
a code between you
4
and
or
your
5.
friends.
See, do you
Four,
remember, do you remember how
five.
me and Kenny are just
Four.
like...
35.
That's it. You can have entire. Monica Leon, sono client, sono te bene. Soliasene.
Come with a Furby.
Sono client, sono se. You do that just to see. The reason, like, you do that, we did that a lot. A long time ago, my second year, I actually did a public speaking class for the Jefferson Society. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. We used to teach classes at the society. Pretty sweet, yeah. And that was a game we used to. I don't know. John and Bolt and I used to do it. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, but why does the society suck now? I kid.
4, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 200.
Are those all the reasons that the society has
Nine.
changed?
Duh. And that was something we did. We did the numbers game. We'd also do
What?
like something where just by facial expressions you could tell what somebody was thinking, just like, or, like you can tell a lot with your face as well as you can just with your tone of voice, and that's sort of an important thing. And Mr. Hankins later when he does the spoken word, we're going to emphasize that. Like you can, I guess we could take a famous sort of, again another Keats line that I always like: "Beauty is truth and truth is beauty." This is all you need to know on earth and all you will ever need to know on earth. You can read that. Truth is beauty, beauty is truth. This is all you need to know on earth and all you'll ever know on earth. Well, thanks. That's great, Daria. Or you can be like, truth is beauty, and beauty is truth. This is all you need to know on earth, and all you'll ever need to know. Like, there's a particular voice that matches the theme you can throw. So we want it. Beauty is truth. Truth is beauty. This is all you need to know, and all you can ever know on earth. Fireworks. So you would need fireworks too to do that. It's very important. Yeah, like fireworks. Good. Can you bring up the ASL poetry? Something we look at when I took sign language for 2 years, and it was a really hard class, but it was one of my favorite classes. And one of the sort of main things that they do in the deaf community is poetry. And what's very incredible about deaf poetry is there is no separation of the performer from the poetry, because it's not written down, it's all on signs. What's very incredible is it tends to turn into, in many respects, sort of a dance. Yeah, really. The kind of signs that you'll use, not only you determine based on the kind of line that you want to delineate, but also you choose your signs based on how they flow into one another. For example, we're going to watch, maybe just a minute, I know I'll translate the beginning of it after you watch it. I'll sort of just ask you to guess what it's about. I showed you the one, right? And what you see in this, yes, that one, and pause it for just a second, Mr. Hankins. You might need to brighten it as well. Since there's no speaking, it's all sort of acting. And what you'll, oh, lost my train of thought.
Oh, can we turn this light up?
Oh yeah, dim this light here, Mr. Hankins. Very good, very good. And so not only are you picking the signs based on what you want to say, but you're picking them based on how they flow into one another. I'll show you examples here in a minute, and we'll just watch this. And this sort of gives you sort of an insight on an incredible performance. Poem goes on for about 10 minutes. Any thoughts about, just guesses about what it's about? Yes, Kim?
Is one other person giving ammo to someone with a gun?
Good. It's a good observation. There is definitely someone with a gun. You also had sort of this sign. What's that? What? Planting. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Very good. Any other thoughts? Don't you love when the person asks that and you're like, sort of, yeah, the raking and sort of the planting, like you said. The poem is about, like it starts off where a woman is, she's looking at a picture on a milk carton, and it asks, "Has you seen my child?" And the child is an Asian child, and what it does is in the poem zooms in on the picture, and it goes to a setting in Vietnam, where there is the Vietnam War that's going on. And you have someone who's planting seeds, and while he's planting seed, there's a soldier who comes out of the forest who's shooting enemy fire. And the farmer tries to keep planting without bothering, but then the soldier comes up on him and tries to like offer him a seed to go away. The soldier just ignores him, and eventually, unfortunately, the individual gets shot. The poem will progress through about 4 other stories of different pictures that people see on milk cartons. And what it's really kind of about is the difficulty of Americans to have empathy for these children or global affairs in general that they're not experiencing, that all they see is a picture of. So it's about sort of the alienation that you feel that is encapsulated by just that phenomenon of seeing a picture of a missing child or a news story about war going on somewhere and not really feeling any emotion for it. And this is being paralleled likewise with the plights of your deaf community, that you hear people being deaf, but you don't really know how to relate to it. It's not so much like judging the people that show no empathy, but showing the conundrum of being completely unable to show empathy unless you are in that situation. One of the examples of how the signs work together is at the beginning. It did this example of a picture, and then it showed this going down, and it landed like this, and it came up. This is the sign for like a picture fluttering to the ground, and the transition from the person looking at the milk carton to being in the jungles of Vietnam is a picture fluttering to the ground, and then when it turns up, that means time to harvest. This sign is like harvest time. So the sign for the picture fluttering to the ground will be paralleled with setting the setting for the next poem. The end of the poem, which is about 10 minutes from now, is again, it goes to a line of a picture fluttering to the ground, but this time it turns back over. And this is the sign for death. So the sign for the picture fluttering to the ground with the last story, poem, is of a child holding the picture of his mom, and the child unfortunately died, and the picture flying from the child's hands, fluttering to the ground, and then flipping over, which both parallels the action of the picture flipping over just by the wind blowing it over, but likewise the death of the child. There are other examples where you saw where the sort of the sign for plowing the field was mixed with the cocking of a gun sign, where you're seeing like the transition from the harvesting to the gun is just one quick swoop. And another theme of the poem going throughout it is how quickly these things, you go from peacetime to war, just like that. And it will also end with the quickness from moving to an appreciation of life to an alienation of life, just waking up and eating your cereal and things like that. So that's an interpretation of the poem. A few lines that I'll read to you. In deaf poetry, there is no separation between the artist and art, poet and poem. There is no way for a deaf poet to present a deaf poem and not be performing it. You can't say write it down, and you have to perform it. So there's a very profound emphasis in deaf poetry on the performance aspect. I would argue that there actually never is a separation of the poet and their poem and the art from their artist. And the more that we understand that, the better we are to present our poetry or our stories or any of our art. It's just something that inherently you get in the deaf community because you're forced to understand that point. Very often, if we do a lot of writing, we can get to the point where we can think of the thing that we're writing separate from ourselves. To a degree, this is true, but the more we understand that poem could not come into existence separate from our existence, the more we understand that being able to internalize it and to perform it at the drop of a pen or just, in how we live, becomes apparent to us. And the better you can perform, and the more you internalize your work, well, the better the poem. What another line that I want to read to you. The other thing, for missing children, that's the name of the poem, to come alive in another performer's body, the performer must find his or her own passion to fight injustice. Like, the only way that someone can present that poem, since it has to be this physical, personal expression, is for that individual within themselves to bring themselves to the place where they feel passion to correct the injustice in the world. Like, that's one of, like, they'll spend 20 minutes before a performance really getting themselves into that method act, kind of like we talk about method actors, like method poets, like really getting themselves into the place of feeling outward, like hurt by injustice in the world. Well, there's another poem that's famous, that's a parody on Charlie Chaplin in one of the skits that he's doing, and it's sort of about the outrage of how the only way that deaf people could really get jobs is to put themselves up as clowns. So again, you sort of bring yourself into that place so that you can accurately portray the poem to the audience. And we should do that ourselves. Like here's the example I was talking about. There's a powerful double meaning in the way Renan, that's the name of the woman performing, creates photos of the children falling to the ground. As Renan uses her closed flat hand, palm face down, to become the photos gently floating to the ground, her eyes follow her hand. Sort of like that. Then in one sharp move, she turns her palm over and holds it there, staring at it, creating half the sign meaning death or dead. So deaf poets will also do a lot with their eyes. Like when I ask a question like why, or one of the 6 W questions, like why, what, you furrow your eyebrows. So I could be like, or like where, why, or what. If I'm asking like how, lots of questions I can ask. So if, for example, if I furrow my eyebrows, if to an alternative reading, like while the picture is floating to the ground, if I furrow my eyebrows, like I'm asking, why did this have to happen? Like it's like I'm asking a question, like why did the child have to die? So just by how I use my eyebrows, I can say something else on top of the sign without saying it, which are, view of goodness. So those are just some thoughts. I will we'll do one more poem. That's an ASL poem that I will verbalize to you and then sign, and then Mr. Hankins, you can do your thing on the spoken word. Any questions about what I'm getting at? There's a whole spew of deaf poetry, barrage of deaf poetry on the internet. It's all quite fascinating stuff. And likewise, what we should think about when we see that, if we're talking about writing, is like being very particular about our word choice. Like a lot of writers will try to find words that the syllable count integrates into the next syllable count, which is very much like looking for signs that merge into the next sign to integrate the meanings together. Very powerful stuff. So I'll do a sign. It's called Tell Me What the Rain Is. Actually, let me sign it first. goes like this. So tell me what the rain knows. Such simple drops of heaven. You come and go since the dawn of man. Well, you come and go since the dawn of man. Well, tell me what the rain knows. Simple drops of heaven. You come and go since time began. Since time began and been here since the dawn of man. Celestial glimmer. You always bear, as if stars that were stolen and discarded without care. So, yeah, sorry, I forgot that on the first time. I promise you I did it right the first time I signed it. Beautiful stuff. Anyway, questions or anything like that? Questions? Yes.
So you can't, I mean, do deaf poets write their work down and have someone ever say it for them? Or is it always like internalized and thought out in their language?
Well, to refer to it as deaf poetry, it has to be like internalized, thought out in like deaf poet, in like the way that we've been showing. Otherwise, it's just poetry. You know, they just write it down and send it in. So to be in the category of sort of deaf poetry, it has to be performance. And also, like, if you're going to a deaf poetry competition, for example, what they rate you on is like how well your signs go together, how sort of well you're able to express with your face. Like the whole judging is decided really based on the performance, which is rather incredible. Like someone like a Wallace Stevens or a John Asbury or a Dante does not have to be able to perform their work for it to be great. But in the deaf community, that's everything. And that would sort of transition likewise into spoken word and hip hop, how the way that it's performed is of the utmost importance. So, Mr. Higgins. I had fireworks, honest, I just lost them.
Hey, look, this is earth-therial versus a lyrical. Some people research empirical data to find meaning to the matter. We all just want meaning and to matter. This is earth-therial, rebirth and spiritual. Some people seek in their churches for miracles to find meaning to these matters. We all just want meaning to matter. Looking for a light and lantern to get some insights and answers. Deep, this is not light banter, because some things in a book you quite can't learn, or in seminars, it's in the stars and satellites. A woman has a battle and fight with cancer, so she consults with cancer and tours for hope, checks out a horoscope, couldn't figure it out on the cellular level, so she spends $2.99 per minute on the cellular to attract the Lord and ward off the devil. She knows the secret laws of attraction, cause and reaction, and she wears rabbit paws as a fashion. She's into herbs and nature, supernatural, superstitious, super religious. What other people see as crazy, she just sees as true to her convictions. Finds meaning in every circumstance, leaves everything up to the universe and chance, even like, should I wear a skirt or pants on a blind date? And love is blind, trying to find love, a kind man amongst mankind, a kind mate. Even more so than the average woman, everything has a subtle meaning. Everything happens for a reason. There's always a double meaning. A combination of psychology and psychics, astrology and cosmopolitan advice tips. And since a good man is hard to find, when she bumps into one in the supermarket line, it's a sign and the stars align. She grabs a horoscope from the shelf right above the conveyor belt, signs the cross, rubs the crystal, and prays for help. She's down to earth, you know? She's real earthy, into Maya, Mother Gaia, and rebirthing. But she just wants to know that she's worthy of romantic love and love in general. Is she not deserving because she doesn't find it in chemicals and integrals? She's got memories, hopes, disappointments, dreams, and scars. She finds God in everything. She's looking for meaning in the stars. This is earth-therial. Verses are lyrical. Some people research the material and matter to find meaning to the matter. We all just want meaning and to matter. A psychiatrist, a humanitarian, no time for family. He's preoccupied with his occupation at the planetarium, studying solids and gases. Vapors fogs up his glasses, rises early, home late from teaching his college classes. Knowledge is fascinating, captivating to his mind, and he can't fathom how people can believe in phantoms and be so blind. He's a father with a son, but scoffs at ghosts and Holy Ghosts. He makes his boast in boosters and rocket ships, securing his postdoctorate, PhD, only concerned about the pH of water. Not kismet and hates religion, and rather you take the pH that's in psychics and rearrange it till you get the pH that's in physics. Thinks science and religion have no business together. The universe is governed by laws, not by a God who controls the weather. And there's no laws of secret attraction. Everything has an opposite and equal reaction. And there's no opposites attract. The same can explain evolutionary behavior. He just chalks it up to fact. There's no eternal force or external source called fate to bring you a tall date. It's all just velocity and gravity's falling rate. The man in the car just stalled too late. The brakes in the car was fine, recently realigned, and when the stars align, they're just following a natural orbit. Everything can be completely tracked with accuracy and coordinates. The Lord gets none of that accredited to him for accretion. As far as he's concerned, God rested on all 7 days, and the completion of the universe can be mapped in graphs and bars. He doesn't find God in anything, but he's looking for meaning in the stars. She's not really sure what she believes in, faith or reason, but she knows there's a party going on this evening. She picks out what she'll wear, a hat, plus a pair of slacks to go drinking, not thinking about paranormal, parallel universe, or a parallax. She just knows she's got a parallel park between two cars because the party tonight is going to be out of this world at Club Mars. And it's ladies' night. Guys looking to get laid tonight, hoping to get their worlds rocked like planets retrograde in flight. Make-believe alcoholic potions help them study heavenly bodies in motion. The pull of lust is strong as the moon's tide to the ocean. And she doesn't like to be objectified as an object in motion, but she won't remain at rest because she likes the attention. No drug prevention. Ecstasy and ecstasy takes her to alternate dimensions. She spins around on the dance floor until her body gets weary, and he's been waiting all night to prove his Big Bang theory. He wants to know more about the process that causes planets to birth. We put a man on the moon, trying to put a man on Mars, but can we even find a man on Earth? Hand up her skirt, she flirts, because she wants to hear the universe pales in your complexion, because she doesn't feel it when she looks in the mirror and sees her own reflection. So while astronauts board the shuttle, they board in the back seat of cars. They're not spiritual or intellectual. They're looking for meaning in the bars. We all just want to know who we are. If you're an astrologer or an astronomer, you're looking for meaning in the stars. If you're looking at a horoscope or looking through a telescope, you're looking for meaning in the stars. If you're looking at the logical or the mythological, you're looking for meaning in the stars. If you're looking at the supernova or the supernatural, you're looking for meaning in the stars. If you're studying physics or going to psychics, you're looking for meaning in the stars. If you're a scientist or a Scientologist, you're looking for meaning in the stars. Extraterrestrial. If you're trying to go to heaven or just trying to figure out how the heavens go, you're looking for meaning in the stars. If you're studying mathematical proofs or saying, I believe, I don't need any proof, or if you're studying the theory of everything or just happen to find God in everything, if you're researching the data, you're looking for the meaning to the matter. If you flirt and you want to date her, you're looking for meaning and to matter. If you're looking through the gaze of a crystal ball or stumbling through the haze of alcohol, y'all were all just looking for the meaning to it all. If you're studying the force of rocket thrusts, throttles, or lust, or got a diet pill bottle trying to be a thin model, we're all just looking for the meaning to it all. If you're researching the molecular, church or secular, doubt. If you flirt and you're checking her out, we're all just looking for the meaning to the matter. We all just want meaning to matter. All right, so spoken word.
Thank you.
Do you mind doing the word?
No, absolutely.
The
I
to
mean,
me,
if it was for anyone else other than you, I would. But since it's for you, it's not a problem.
so I think that you know, like Daniel was saying about traditional poetry, spoken word poetry, most people don't think of like a Robert Frost or Keats being performed per se. And I mean, maybe they do, some of it, but
They don't.
most people, yeah, when usually you have poetry readings, it's off the sheet of paper, you know, it's read kind of dry, more monotone, or some people can jazz it up. But I think sort of like Daniel was saying about the deaf poetry, when people think of hip hop and spoken word, there's this sense that it's going to be animated, that it's going to be lively, that there's going to be movement, there's going to be hands involved and expressions and pauses and waiting for the crowd to say ooh and ah. In hip hop, there's a term called move the crowd. You know, if you're on the microphone, you better have the attention of the crowd. You better have the energy of the crowd on your side. Otherwise, you're seen as kind of, you know, not an exceptional poet or rapper. And one interesting thing, like I did the speech for graduation when I graduated here, and it was hilarious because, you know, most people, they got up there with their paper. I mean, I had paper too because I had just finished it writing it the night before. But, you know, most people, they kind of got up with the mic and just was like, hello, mic. And I grabbed the mic and everybody was like, oh, whoa, whoa, he's bold, he's picking up the mic. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, in hip hop, it's just the microphone is this thing that's a symbol for command, symbol for being in control. So it's just so natural to me that I just pick up the mic. It's like, oh, of course I have to control the mic. Of course it has to be in my hand. So just that kind of idea that the microphone itself is a weapon or is a symbol that when you get on stage, you better know how to control the microphone, control the crowd. The other thing I love about hip hop and spoken word is just capturing the crowd in that moment and that emotion, moving them. So I love Simon Cowell. Everybody hates him, you know, he was on American Idol, but I think he's the best because he always says to people, he's like, you know, you got up there and performed, but it was forgettable. And just that word is very strong. It's like when you get on stage, you want to be unforgettable. You want people to leave and see you a month later and be like, oh my goodness, that thing you did at Mud House, oh, I was thinking about that for like a week afterwards. And I mean, I'm happy. We love you.
Hey Bernard, does the First Amendment go first to the hip hop?
I can, but I love you too.
First Amendment we're going to do. So yeah, I mean, that's what I think about. When I get on stage and I'm expressing myself and I'm putting together words in the way there's flow and cadence, I just want, when I leave, for people to be like, I can't get that dude out of my head. I can't get his words out of my head, his movement, his cadence, all of that.
Mind power.
Yes. We're going to watch a little video now, and then we're going to talk more about spoken word.
Okay. Where'd it go?
You're going to have to move it to the left screen.